Does any council members have any special intentions before I say the prayer? Councilmember Impastato.
I ask that we keep
You got it?
I'd ask that we keep the Segura family, family of Councilman Michael Segura, in our prayers as his father is terminally ill and suffering at this time. So I'd ask that we keep them in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads and remember that we are in the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, you gather us together in our faith journey. Trusting in you, we join one another as a community of faith on a journey to grow ever deeper in our faith, in our love, in our desire to long for you. Along the way, remind us of your love, of your sacrifice for all, of your ever-mindful presence. Let us never lose hope along the way. Help us to be strong in faith, strong in love, strong in our desire to be ever mindful of your presence. For it is in your strength and love and the graces you bestow upon us that we can go out and share in your love and faith with all of those in our community. As we remember what is written about faith of the ancients in Hebrews 11, verses 1 through 3. Faith is the realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen. Because of it, the ancients were well attested. By faith, we understand that the universe was ordered by the word of God, so that what is visible came into being, though through the invisible. In the name of Jesus Christ our Lord, we pray, amen. We have one of our scouts, Life Scout Troop 231, Austin Henner. If I can call you up to lead us in the pledge.
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit why you're here? Why?
Yes, sir. I am here to get the Communications Merit Badge, and that is my last Eagle Required Merit Badge that I must get.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. You have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of January 22nd, 2015. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. Item 2A is a resolution granting an alcoholic beverage permit to Friends of Rivertown on February 16, 2015 at 415 Williams Boulevard, being property owned by the City of Kenner and Kenner, Louisiana. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the consent agenda this evening.
I have a motion by Councilman Conley, second by Councilmember DeFrances. Council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda this evening, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. We have nothing. Item 10 is the opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is a reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Mr. Chairman, I've received a request this evening for a one-meeting deferral for 13A through 13H, please.
Okay, would anybody like to speak on the deferral? Oh, we have a motion by Councilman Conley, second by Councilman Reyno. Sorry. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13I is a resolution requesting the state legislators referred to as the Jefferson Delegation and Jefferson Parish representatives that represent the city of Kenner will take the necessary steps to ensure that no action will be taken to form a 65th parish in Louisiana that would call for the West Bank of Jefferson Parish to secede from Jefferson Parish until a study is done to determine what impact such a measure would have on the city of Kenner and her citizens.
Motion by Conley, second by Reno. Councilman Conley, you got it.
Basically, what this is, and as I've discussed with my colleagues, is 2 weeks ago in the newspaper there was an article in the Times-Picayune where it's suggested by a state legislature that they will create the 65th parish in Jefferson, in Louisiana, that would be comprised of Algiers and West Jefferson. At first blush, you know, it's just another story, but then when you realize the impact that might have on Kenner, being as all of the Jefferson Parish facilities that Kenner as stakeholders have paid for through their taxes, such as a prison, the sheriff's office, governmental buildings, courthouse, coroner's office, things of that nature, would, you know, how would that impact the city of Kenner and the residents of the East Bank of Jefferson? So obviously, I think it's more than a whisper campaign if it's reported in the Times-Picayune and the information was released by a state representative. So being as I'd never heard that this before, and neither had anybody on the council or the administration, I think it's important that you know, we let our representatives know that we want a seat at the table, and we want some kind of study to show what kind of impact that'll have on the city of Kenner and our citizens, the taxpayers. So I ask that the council support this.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,816, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received for the purchase and installation of motorized roll-down shutters, wind retrofit shutters for the City of Kenner Emergency Operations Center in accordance with sealed bid number 14-6249 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Carroll, second by Segura.
Mr. Chairman, this evening we've received a request to amend this item. If I could, the amendment would be to reflect Old Master and Son Incorporated for the vendor. The amount would be in $105,240, $105,240, with $78,930 being deducted from account number 3668085-5389 HMGP1. And then in the amount of $26,310 being deducted from account number 3648085-5389-1314.
Motion by Carroll, second by Segura on the amendment. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0 for the amendment.
Now on the legislation itself, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,817, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated for the removal of the old air conditioning unit and the furnishing and installation of a new air conditioning unit at the Rivertown Theater in accordance with letter bid number 14-1532 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilman Reno. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is a resolution approving change order number 1, final to the contract with BLD Services, LLC, dated October 8, 2014, regarding the City of Kenner Sewer Rehabilitation Roan Lift Station Replacement Project, which decreases the contract price by $5,440, and accepting the project as complete for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Klein, second by Councilmember DeFrances. Councilmember Klein, you have the floor.
I want to thank BLD Services for reducing the amount of this contract. And I know the citizens of my district, the citizens of Kenner, as well as the administration and other council members appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Member DeFrances, you have the floor.
To be honest with you, too often when we hear increases, isn't it wonderful when we actually have a decrease? So I absolutely am delighted as well, and I think everyone in City of Kenner appreciates any time we can get a decrease in cost. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is a resolution approving a first amended cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Kenner and the State of Louisiana regarding lake trail drainage improvement, planning, and construction.
Motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Conley. Mr. Quigley, can you fill us in a little bit on this?
I'm sorry, the lake trail? Okay. Actually, the good news is that this is just the first of the funding that we are going to have. The first $40,000 was from the previous session. At the last session, we've got an additional $100,000, so that's $140,000 that's actually been approved by the State Bond Commission. Our Kenner delegation realized that even though the legislature approved the $900,000 during the session, the administration didn't realize that we'd already done all of the engineering and we were essentially shovel ready. So through the efforts of our Kenner delegation, they were able to convince the administration to go ahead and move forward with this project. So now it's gone before the Emergency Interim Board for approval, which once they approve it, they'll send it to the State Bond Commission. And then because of the fact that it wasn't done during the regular sessions of the State Bond Commission, it's being done out past that time. They will issue us a non-cash line of credit. But once we get the non-cash line of credit, they give us authority to go ahead and bid and sign contracts. So we're just waiting now for the Interim Emergency Board approval and subsequently sending it to the State Bond Commission. So, you know, we're still moving forward with this project. Actually, somebody from facility planning, one of the engineers from facility planning came to Kenner last week, and Linfield Hunter and Junius, who's done the engineering for this project, took them out to the site and showed them what we're doing. So we're already working with facility planning for the capital outlay. So it's just progressing along, and actually we want to thank our legislative delegation for doing that extra step. Even though it was approved during the session, but due to their diligence, they were able to convince the governor's office to go ahead and move forward with getting it through the Emergency Interim Board and then to the State Bond Commission.
Thank you, and I was going to mention Ms. Stokes too, you know, pushing it along. And I also want to thank you, Mr. Quigley, for working with us on this project, because if it wasn't for y'all, this project wouldn't come to fruition. Hearing no other council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the contract with Fleming Construction Company, LLC, dated July 2nd, 2014, regarding the 31st and Jasper Lift Station project, increasing the contract amount by $18,013.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilman Impastato. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Gonzalez, this couple of questions, and first one would be to get a status on the particular project, and if you can go into some little details about the increase, why it was, why it's needed, and the completion date of the overall project, please.
The project, for all practical purposes, is complete right now. We still got to go through a punch list. I would say that within 30 days it would be totally completed. As far as the change order, is to increase the amount of bypass pumping so that we could maintain the existing sewer active while the lift station was being worked on.
And when you say completed, the overall structure itself and to be the additions for the lift station, does that also include, if any, repairs to the sidewalk or the street or anything? Does that also include that, or have we identified anything that we're going to have to go back and repair because of the construction?
Anything that was damaged by the contractor and it could be attributed to the contractor's operation will be repaired.
Okay.
Yes, I'm anticipating that within 30 days, the whole project would be completed.
Okay. If you should get any information about streets, sidewalks, property, could you just give me we can talk about that so I can reassure the community that it will be taken care of.
I will.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no other discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is a resolution approving change order number 2 to the contract with J.A. Jack Julius Jr. Incorporated, dated October 3rd, 2014, regarding the construction of a new food bank facility, which increases the contract amount by $19,253 and increases the contract time by 5 days.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilmember DeFrances. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance rescinding and repealing ordinance number 10,272 and reenacting provisions amending section 13-71 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to regulate smoking at outdoor playgrounds and recreation facilities. Item 16B is an ordinance approving an increase to the annual expenditure limit established for the purchase of ammunition from Barney's Incorporated, Barney's Firearms, utilizing state contract number 409716 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16C is an ordinance approving amendment number 2 to the engineering agreement with Hartman Engineering Incorporated regarding Kenner Hansen City Sewer Lift Station improvements for LS 4102 at Airline Drive in Minden and LS 4103 at Firehouse Road, which increases the maximum cumulative fee to $225,271.90 in order to modify the task 2 of the scope of work to include additional design and supplemental services with an increase in the agreement in the amount of $10,344.90. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilmember Segura, you have the floor. Segura.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you. I'd just like to comment this afternoon, the mayor, Councilman Klein, and myself went to the New Orleans International Airport for the press conference that Mayor Mitch Landrieu had to announce the startup of a new direct flight between New Orleans International Airport and Panama, the Mall of the airport in Panama, which I forgot what it's called, Airport of the Americas, I think it was. But it's a opportunity for Latin American countries to go to that airport, not have to go through all kind of rigorous second checking when they change their flight, and then come straight here to New Orleans, and vice versa for any citizens of the United States who want to go down to Panama. They can come to New Orleans, catch this Copa airline flight, and then travel down to Panama and have a connection flight to anywhere else in the Latin countries with a lot of no hassles with extra security. So it was quite a nice event to attend and to see this extra traffic coming to our airport and extra amount of people who will come to the city of Kenner to travel to the Latin American countries. So I want to welcome Copa Airlines to New Orleans International Airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor, you have the floor. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about some things we have going on in Kenner. First off, I want to say that the Driftwood Parade was probably one of the biggest attended Driftwood parades that I've seen between being CAO and mayor of the city. Great crowd. Obviously, people are all ready for Mardi Gras. That being said, we're ready for Mardi Gras in Kenner with our annual Lundy Gras festivities, which will have an appearance by the Saints truck by Mr. Larry Daigle, who has for years volunteered and carried our beads for us and led the procession. We're happy to have him back this year. Things get started at 11 o'clock. Our band starts at 11:30 with Papa C's. We have a great bunch of food vendors and craft vendors that'll be out there in Rivertown in the parking lot. This year, the courts are going to arrive around 11:30, and then the meeting of the courts will take place at noon. We're actually moving it out of the exhibition hall, locating the little guest party we have for Zulu and Argus at the crossing to get some exposure for the crossing, which has become a great venue in Rivertown. And then we'll process down the street, down Williams Boulevard, up to the stage, which will be in the parking lot. So I encourage all the council members, and of course our chief, who's given us a number of police officers to handle escorts and logistics for the parade, to be there and participate in this great event. This all started with a Kenner resident who was Zulu back in the either late 90s or early 2000s. And this has really flourished. It's really turned into a big event for Zulu on their calendars. And of course, the crew of Argus is very, very involved in here, being one of Jefferson Parish's now oldest carnival clubs, which parades, of course, on Mardi Gras Day. So we're so happy to have their involvement and that they've chosen Kenner. A lot of it all started because we had the Mardi Gras Museum, but even though we don't have that anymore, they've all really taken to this and love coming out to Kenner for this event to start the day for Zulu and Argus. So I hope everybody can attend. And as Mike said, the airport it was a great day today at the airport, welcoming Copa Airlines. They're going to be doing a lot of the nonstops to the Latin Americas. You know, our airport at one time was the gateway to the Latin Americas, and now, unfortunately, you know, it dropped off some decades ago, and Mayor Landrieu is hoping to get it back up to be a true international airport, and having one of the largest Hispanic populations right here in Kenner, this helps them to take advantage of some trips to their native countries and we hope to get a lot of commerce through this. The representatives from Pan American Life were there. They have a lot of business down in Panama, and one of the big pushes to make this happen. And as the Pan American Life CEO started off his conversation, I thought it was very good. To all the mayors and councils of Houston, Atlanta, I'm sorry, but New Orleans got it. So we're very happy that Kenner welcomed Copa Airlines today at the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the little speech on the Driftwood Parade.
And
it was an excellent
I want to mention, too, why you reminded me, Darylyn's email to all of us, I have to commend Jose Gonzalez in Public Works, as she already sent to us. We got a message that was forwarded from a Driftwood resident saying that they were going to go pick up some of the trash, but it rained the next day, and Mr. Gonzalez in Public Works had Driftwood looking like there was no parade that took place in that neighborhood. So I want to thank Jose for doing that. I did aggravate him on Friday and said, Jose, make sure on Monday I don't get any complaints about Driftwood being a mess. And as usual, he likes to avoid my calls, so he made sure Driftwood was cleaned up on Monday morning. So thank you, Jose, and the men in Public Works.
And they did an excellent job, including the Kenner Police Department, the Fire Department, our Recreation Department. I had called Ken Maricoli on some stuff, and also our Public Works. They actually even brought the street sweeper out there and trimmed trees and did all kind of stuff. So thank y'all all. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess the Driftwood Parade is a good segue into the conversation that there was a lot of things going on in the Driftwood neighborhood. One also being the Recreation Department had the basketball championship tournament that went on Saturday and also one day during the week. I would like to thank the parents, thank the coaches, thank the young men and young women that participated. Also to thank the Kenner Recreation Department, Mr. Maricoli, all of his staff for, again, putting on a good presentation. You know, I'm a little biased, but I believe the city of Kenner has the best recreation department in the state. It was obvious at the teams. They have increased. Their participation have increased. And I was honored to be part of it with Councilman Segura and Councilwoman DeFranchis during the week, Wednesday, I believe, for the younger age group championship. So overall, good event, good participation, good job by our departments, and we look forward to the next sport to go forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Klein, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to say a couple of things. We were on Driftwood Parade a few minutes ago, and I want to thank the Driftwood Association for inviting me to ride in the parade, which my son, I did, and my wife rode in the parade. We had a great time. It was great weather, great everything. So thank you very much, Driftwood. Also, with respect to Copa Airlines, they have represented to us that their flights are 90% on time, which is great. They're a low-cost airline, and they serve about 51 destinations. So we look forward to going to Central or South America.
Thank you. Nobody else? Council Clerk.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Thank you. Our first person on the list is Mr. Tony Legge. Wait, okay, Tony. Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 43 years. I want to revisit the issue with the gas line again. Based on an incident that just took place in Mexico and some data off of Atmos's own website, I've come to the conclusion that I don't think no one can really say for sure what could happen when there's an incident involving natural gas. I do want to say Atmos did come out and they did an upgrade on the signage on that bridge, but I've seen no upgrades for the infrastructure of that bridge as of yet. But I think we can all agree on this. It's always better to be proactive than to be reactive, especially when it comes to something like that. Now, I also want to comment on the discussion that took place in here at the last meeting relative to the Youth Advisory Council and the topic relative to the Esplanade Mall. Now, given the state of that mall and the path that that mall seems to be on, I believe that that's a very sore topic, and I think that's really what the issue is. And I don't see him here tonight, but I would really like to see him down here. The way I understand it, they were supposed to come here the first meeting of every month. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see him here tonight, and I'd like to see him here again. I think they was objective when they selected that topic, but I actually believe it's a sore topic. In closing, I want to extend my prayers to the Segura family, praying for your father, Mike, for quick and speedy recovery. Anybody got any comments, any questions? And one more thing. How much time I got left, Keith? Huh?
About a minute.
Okay, that's enough time. At the last council meeting, also addressed this to you, Councilwoman DeFrances. I asked you if you would let us know who the owners are of this company called Basecraft, Kenner, Louisiana. If you got the information, I'd like you to tell us. If not, then you could take all the time you want, as long as it's not too excessive, in getting that information to me. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Okay. Councilmember DeFrances, you have the floor.
Yeah, that's all right. Mr. Morella, my apologies. I did try to get the information. I wasn't able to do it quickly. I don't give up easily, as you know, so I'm still working on it. And unfortunately, last week I was out of town. We had not been out of town in 3 years, my husband and I, and I needed to be out of town. So, and this week with our council meeting, as you know, we had some major issues. So I will be working on it Friday and next week, and as soon as I get it for the next meeting, I'll have it for you.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein, you have the floor.
I'm going to try it like you did and see if it picks it up.
You have your mic on?
See. All right.
You got it.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Morello, at the end of the last meeting, I think I talked to you and told you to call my office, and I'd be happy to get that information for you, which I haven't received your call, and it slipped my mind. But if you call me tomorrow, I will have that for you by Monday. And one further thing, I want to thank you for letting me use your umbrella to get to my car at the last meeting because I was on crutches. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Klein. The next person to speak is Larry Daigle. And Larry, before you come up to the microphone, I left somebody off. I left the part on the parade, KTV. I mean, they do a wonderful job for us, and I'm sorry about that. But okay, Larry.
Good afternoon. Larry Daigle, 4128 Tulane Drive, Ken, Louisiana. Mr. President, council members, Mayor. Mayor Yenny, I'd like to congratulate you for coming out to mine and my wife's proclamation in Jefferson Parish. It really meant a lot to my wife and I, Karen, and as well as you, Mr. Franchise, and Ben Zine coming out here, and Ken for hours out here.
Sorry, I missed the one here.
Well, she wants to get a picture with you with the proclamation.
Bring it next Monday.
I'll do that, and I'll be there for your parade. And Mr. Keith, you and Donna put on one hell of a show, guy. We had a good time. Even though you put me to work, we had a good time. I was the most people I've seen in that parade since my truck's been in it. We had a wonderful time.
Thank you, Larry.
And I just want to say to every one of y'all doing a great job. And I'd like to put this out to the citizens of Kenner. 2 words, thank you. When you see a man in uniform with a Kenner uniform on, tell them thank you, because they do a hell of a job. I don't care if they're picking up garbage. I don't care if they're cutting grass. I don't care if it's one of these people sitting in here. Kenner's the best place to live. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. God bless y'all.
Thank you. Next person on our list is A.J. Giordano.
A.J. Giordano, 3518 California Avenue. Glad to see that y'all put this off, the resolutions off to the next meeting. I guess I have more questions that I hope that some questions are going to be resolved before this next meeting on all these resolutions and clarify specifically, such as the raises, 72% of a circuit court judge. I'm going to ask you, what exactly, it's kind of a gray area. I'll ask you, Keith. When you think that's a pretty gray area, exactly what are you trying to, 72% for the police chief off a circuit court judge, it's kind of a pretty gray area, isn't it? Exactly what kind of raise are you trying to put to the voters?
AJ, I'll be more than happy. You have 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. So if you want to go ahead and close out.
That's one of my main questions. Are you going to, trying to resolve the specifications and all these resolutions? And also, is this a special election that you're proposing?
It's the regular scheduled election
for
May.
It is a regular schedule for, it's not something that you're making special for just for these resolutions, then? It's for,
I'll answer that when you finish.
Okay, that's my main ones. I have more questions, but that's 2 of the main things I'm asking. Go ahead.
You done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. To answer your question as far as the election, I believe that's a regular election. It's not a special election. However, whenever they word that, they word it as a special election, but it's a regular scheduled election.
Okay.
Okay? And as far as anything else on there, that'll be discussed at the next council meeting because that was proposed to us by our Charter Review Committee, and they will have somebody here to answer your questions.
And then at that time, you're taking a vote? Or, I'm just curious as to the process,
The process is when it comes up, it could be deferred again, or we could take a vote on it.
Because right now, the public is pretty uninformed.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but, each one of those committee meetings were advertised. The public could have went to them. They were discussed in public, and there was a time at that point where you could do it. Now, it's still going to be vetted to the public again. The public can still speak on it when it comes up. But right now, those are deferred.
You're saying this was at a council meeting?
The committee meetings.
They proposed all this? The raises and everything else on these resolutions?
The committee, the Charter Committee.
Okay.
came back to us with these recommendations. Okay?
You understand my question about the salary?
It's crystal.
Where am I going to, it's crystal clear to you?
It's crystal clear that you had an opportunity to go to those meetings, which were publicized. Am I correct? They were publicized.
Okay, well, from here till the next meeting, where do I get the clarification? Where can I find this clarification on this raise, the raise amounts?
Write to me specifically what you want to know, and I'll answer those questions for you, because it's a broad question.
Well, it's pretty gray about the raises, isn't it?
I don't think it's gray at all.
So first you got to know what your base circuit court judge is? Their base pay or average pay or whatever?
It's a matter of public record, AJ.
Okay. I'll write you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, you're next up. No? Okay. Richard Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. And I also want to congratulate you and your wife on the Driftwood Parade and to thank you for your hospitality. And it really was a great parade, and it always is. And I want to follow up one comment Mr. Morella had about the Mayor's Youth Advisory Board. I really was distressed to see the way the president of that association and the newspapers were attacked for the Youth Advisory Board chairman's comments at a council meeting about a month ago. That is a group appointed by the mayor. They're supposed to report to the mayor and the council. I think it was the administration had them put on the agenda. He gave his report, and the media reported his report. The media did just as they should have done. The contents of that report and the recommendations, some may be perhaps a bit naive, but I personally commend that group and their chairman for having the fortitude and the wisdom, to get involved, the community spirit to look into an issue that really is a serious issue in Kenner that a lot of people feel hasn't been properly dealt with. And then I've got some comments and then a couple of questions on the proposed charter changes. What is the salary of a district judge right now?
Go ahead and finish, and then.
All right, I understand it's about $143,000, maybe a little more, and the proposals are to increase the mayor's and the police chief's salary by roughly 50%. It'll raise their salaries from around $70,000 or $75,000 in that ballpark to about $106,000. That's a 50% salary increase. The raises for the council members will be 20 to 25%. I'm not sure what the percentage of the increase is for the council members. I think it's in the 25 to 30% range also. But all of y'all, when you ran for office just 6 months ago, knew what the salaries were. I resent the council trying to change the salaries only 6 months into your term. I think the present charter provisions are exactly as they should be, where the council sets the salaries. You cannot raise your own salary. A salary increase can only become effective after the next election. I think that's the way it should be. When the salaries are tied automatically to the judges' salaries, the city has no control over keeping the salaries down. If we're having tough times, we have no control. I have grave concerns about the proposal as I understand it so far. Thank you.
Thank you. There's nobody else on the list, and I will answer Richard's questions directly to you, Richard, and also from what I know, and also to AJ. But I do want to say something. We're going to discuss this, and it's going to come back up at the next scheduled council meeting. it's not about a pay raise. It's not just about a pay raise. It's about the city council right now votes on raises. Jefferson Parish has the same thing in effect. So the council members, the parish president is paid based on a percentage of what the judicial judges make. And again, we all agreed as a council here that we were going to have a committee that each one of us put a name up for that committee, and they were going to review the entire charter. And our charter dates back to 1974. So I think it's a little outdated. And I know that they've had some changes in the charter since then, but basically we're operating on a 1974 charter. And if you want to put that real easy where you can understand it, in 1974, nobody had cell phones. So take all your cell phones and put them away and never use them again. I mean, that's how old our charter is. So, but I'll answer your questions as far as, you know, what you asked, and I'll send it to you or I'll call you. Okay? Thank you. Seeing nobody else, Madam Clerk. Oh, we have a motion. Oh, the next thing on the agenda is motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilmember DeFrances, second by Councilmember Klein.